Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here, Golden Opportunities Coaching. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you who are seasoned veterans of what we do around here. We take social, relational, and coaching-related topics. We dissect them, hopefully, in a usable way. Please like, subscribe, comment below if this is helpful to you, and leave a topic you might like to see covered in future audio, and we'll see what we can do about that. Today we're going to talk about 8 causes of relationship stress. I think everybody has relationship stress from time to time. The more you deal with other people, the harder it is to feel like you're on an even keel 100% or even close to 100% of the time. And these 8 things are common reasons why a person may feel that way. The first is insecurity. If you're not secure in who you are or where the relationship is going or your ability to respond and react to the relationship in a way that's going to lead it forward rather than lead it to self-destruct, there is ultimately a lot of challenges ahead. If you do not believe you have security in the foundation of the relationship, you're always going to be performing rather than experiencing, performing rather than ultimately feeling good and moving forward in the relationship. And this can cause a lot of arguments, disagreements, and ultimately the undoing of the relationship itself, because if you can't trust the person on some level, or you're not secure within yourself because of your feelings that the person doesn't love you or isn't good enough for you, or you're not good enough for them, or any of those feelings, sooner or later it will come out in disagreements. And when those disagreements take over the relationship, most people, unless they're extremely desperate, will walk away. The next one is you feel you can't trust the person. Trust is the foundation of any good relationship because it leads to emotional openness and honesty. If there is no trust, and this is hard for people, but if there is no trust, there is no relationship. On rare occasions, trust can be rebuilt, but it requires both people to go back to the beginning of the relationship and rebuild the broken pieces. This usually takes months, if not years, to do, and takes a level of communication that the average couple is incapable of doing or unwilling to do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have wound up in the situation where distrust became the central focus of the relationship. Therefore, trust issues are one of, if not the hardest thing to overcome in a relationship. And when trust issues are at the center, the stress level will undoubtedly rise. The next thing to think about is codependency. So there's 3 forms of dependency in life. There's independence, which means I can do it myself. There's codependence, which means I need another person to keep me motivated to do it. And then there's interdependence. Interdependence is the healthiest of the 3 because interdependence says I need people around me for some things, but I can do the majority of things or a good number of things by myself. Interdependence is where we want to get in relationships. Unfortunately, because we often ascribe love as something we're searching for outside ourselves rather than in ourselves, getting into codependent relationships is very easy, especially for younger females, as usually that's where the cycle begins. And then if a male picks up on it, and or if a person has been abused in either gender and they find a way to look for validation not within themselves any longer, but only from another person, problems do arise. The next in this series is people pleasing. It is stressful when you feel like someone's mad at you, but also it's equally stressful, if not more so in some cases, to feel that the only way you can win is to stay ahead of the happiness of the person you're with. This can mean doing things for them. This can mean anticipating their needs. This can mean having everything just so and perfect so that they never have to have a negative experience. The anticipation of doing that and the actions of going through that so that you never have to have conflict, so that you never have to disagree or be uncomfortable, and so that they never have to question your intentions or your level of commitment to them, can be a very overwhelming thing. This level of people pleasing and trying to create happiness for another person often enables an individual to feel like they do not have any self-identity and often resentment will soon follow. This is a relationship problem that can unfortunately go on underdetected or undetected for several years, but the challenge is sooner or later, once it's discovered, the person either has to break the habit, which usually means the end of the relationship, or they have to learn how to have healthy relationships all over again. People pleasing at the center of a relationship is never healthy because it will lead to one of two things: resentment or burnout. The next thing is overthinking. Look, it's great to think about our relationships. It's great to think about how we can benefit others and get ahead ourselves. However, every detail of a relationship doesn't have to have a second, third, or fourth meaning. Sometimes, a frisbee is just a frisbee. It's not a sign that they want you to fly away. And so, an overthinker is a person who is looking for hidden meanings because at the center, they don't trust their own judgment, they don't trust their own experience, and it's extremely hard for them to believe, either because they've been previously abused or because they have a negative self image, that someone could love them long term. And so they're looking for reasons that they've done something wrong. They're looking for reasons that ultimately something is going to happen that's negative, and they're waiting for that other shoe to drop, which is actually the final thing on my list, but I'll put it in here. A person who is an overthinker is looking for ways for things to fail, and they're waiting for that ultimate ending to the relationship. They're waiting for somebody to tell them they're not good enough. They're waiting for someone to tell them they found somebody else, or that they've cheated, or in some way they're waiting for a painful experience because they equate in their own mind relationships with pain. This happens especially for people who do not take time for self-reflection in between romantic relationships or in between close friendships. What happens is a person is living through their trauma, not through their power, and ultimately they begin to believe that the only function of relationships is for their own personal pain, which leads to self-blame. If the belief is it's my fault and it's always my fault and everything bad that happened is my fault, then the person who believes this way is going to look for something being their fault. They're going to align with beliefs and experiences that says, okay, if I wasn't here, if I didn't exist, the world would be a better place because A, B, C is true. They are putting blame upon themselves because they don't want to get into the confrontation of standing up for themselves. They're also putting blame upon themselves because they believe that the perpetual role of victim is who they are in life. Victim actually becomes, for some people in this situation, a self-identity. The next and last thing that I want to discuss here is the concept of no commitment. Now, this can work two ways. One, a person's not committed to the relationship they're in, which creates relationship stress because they believe that ultimately overcommitting is going to get them hurt, or a person is uncomfortable in discussing the idea of the commitment they want because they're afraid to chase the person away. There are literally hundreds of types of commitment in relationships, and each can be valuable for the person who is trying to and has had some degree of positive experience with relationships in the past. As long as there's clear communication, finding the type of commitment, whether it be monogamy, polyamory, conversational, let's just be honest with each other, a loose commitment, whatever that is, can be worked out between two people. But without transparency and honesty and integrity in the relationship at the center force, there is no way for commitment to be a positive thing. So hopefully these relationship issues are not plaguing you. If they are, I encourage you to get help from a counselor, minister, coach, or somebody that you trust, because having those conversations and getting to a place of understanding is super beneficial and also inevitably necessary if people are going to have a healthy relationship. So until next time, I encourage you to keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.